Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz was among many of the Republican officials who spoke at the Turning Point Conference this past weekend, but Gaetz is one whose performance again captured headlines. And without giving anything away, in case you hadn't seen it, here is Matt Gaetz talking about the pro-choice protesters here in the United States. Take a look.
Have you watched these pro-abortion, pro-murder rallies? The people are just disgusting. Like, why is it that the women with the least likelihood of getting pregnant are the ones most worried about having abortions? Nobody wants to impregnate you if you look like a thumb. These people are odious on the inside and out. They're like 5'2", 350 pounds, and they're like, give me my abortions or I'll get up and march and protest. And I'm thinking, march? You look like you got ankles weaker than the legal reasoning behind Roe versus Wade. A few of them need to get up and march. They need to get up and march for like an hour a day, swing those arms, get the blood pumping, maybe mix in a salad.
Now, before we analyze Gaetz's comments there, a lot of people have mentioned that this sounds a little bit familiar. And in fact, it is a little bit familiar, just kind of flipped. Because back in the mid-90s, George Carlin had a routine where he basically said the same thing, except he was saying it about the anti-abortion people like Matt Gaetz. So in case you haven't seen it, here's George Carlin doing the bit, except doing it much better than Matt Gaetz just did. Take a look.
Why is it that most of the people who are against abortion are people you wouldn't want to fuck in the first place, huh?
Well, so there you have it. I guess Matt Gaetz is apparently the Carlos Mencia joke stealer of Republican politics, right? He just took George Carlin's old bit from the 90s, recycled it and reversed it and used it to attack these women in what was being called as a cartoonishly misogynist attack. And be honest, that's what it was. I mean, this man, a sitting member of the United States House of Representatives, regardless of, stealing the joke, is sitting up there telling these women, you look like a thumb. You're too ugly for somebody to want to impregnate you. Maybe you need to march. Maybe you need to eat a salad. And all of this, of course, is coming from the individual who is alleged to have paid women for sex. So Matt, I think morally speaking, you don't have any high ground to stand upon there, bud. Not only are you clearly a joke thief, but you also have some pretty serious demons of your own possibly kicking around in your closet. You also used to be a very heavy-set fella. College drinking will do that to you, but sure, you've lost weight. Wonderful for you. You still look like you should be hanging out with Beavis on a couch watching MTV. And you have the audacity to go out there and attack other people for their appearance? Or for what you perceive as their appearance? Of course, that's really not even what's happening here. And let's also not forget that Matt Gaetz didn't, at a single point in all of that, counter any of their arguments. And that's really the heart of it. That's what you do. When you cannot go after their argument, you go after them personally. It's one of the oldest Republican tricks in the book, and that is exactly what Matt Gaetz was doing there. He knows that a majority of people in this country support having abortion legal in the United States. So he couldn't argue against that because the entire public is against him. So he tried to be funny with these young Americans, 5,000 of them, again, by the way, 5,000 young Americans in attendance at this conference. He wants to be funny. He wants to be hip and cool. Well, how cool is it going to be when those students realize you ripped off a George Carlin joke that was made in the mid-90s? You were, 16 when that bit came out? And I'm sure you've probably just been sitting there waiting for the rest of your life for the perfect opportunity to throw it out, and you thought you'd found it on Saturday.
This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos, so do us a favor and subscribe.